Good morning, Rhea. Thank you. Good morning, Toma. Good morning, Ibrahim.
Good morning.
Welcome back to our prodigal son.
Thank you.
I missed your perspective.
Thank you so much.
Shall we hop right in?
Take it away.
Good morning to our viewers. I like to say that TVC has a finger on the pulse and our eyes on the streets. And here on the Trending Now segment, my team and I do our best to bring you some of the trending stories that are shaping the world that you and I live in. We begin today with this viral video where a driver and a Fulani herdsman were involved in a tense exchange after cattle blocked part of a major road in Abuja. In this viral video, the driver questioned the herdsman on why the cattle were being moved through the city while filming the scene simultaneously. And this herdsman repeatedly asked this man not to record his cattle. And it turned into an argument. And as this argument continued, the herdsman said that insecurity in some forests have forced many herders away from their usual grazing areas. The exchange got quite tense and interesting. Have a look.
What's the problem? You say what?
Why the video my car?
I shouldn't video.
Show me the video.
I shouldn't video.
Am I scared of you? Or am I scared of
That's
you?
like, so why are you asking me?
Okay, why are you videoing my car?
That's what I'm asking. Why are you asking me?
Don't video my car. When Fulani people do something, you are...
So you Fulani are supposed to be taking care on the city. City, this is development.
Okay.
This is development.
Okay. The city is not for the government, it's for you. Are you the one that...
It's for all of us, but
okay,
cow, that's why you should keep it in the
when
land.
I do something to your car, are you going to feel it?
That's what I'm saying. You're supposed to keep your cow in the ranch, not in the city center.
Okay, go to the ranch and take care of the ranch before you tell me that.
Now, online, this clip has added to ongoing conversations around open grazing and insecurity, especially as some Nigerians continue calling for stricter enforcement against cattle movement in urban areas. It's also revived concerns about ethnic stereotyping, with many warning against judging all Fulani based on the actions of some criminal groups. While some Nigerian states have introduced anti-open grazing laws in recent years, enforcement and implementation do vary across the country. Let's have a look at social media. Bart says, doesn't make them all bad. With everything going on, it's the ones that we see talk about that there are others out there that are doing more than what this trending tribe are doing that we don't know. A few bad eggs doesn't make the basket bad. Korn says, stop this urge to make videos of people without their consent. Stop violating people's privacy. What is wrong with you people? Now, Tim, we couldn't take some tweets that are stereotyping and insulting because this is ethnically sensitive. You know, this might just seem like a video of an exchange that happened on the road, but I think it's a microcosm of you know, this exchange between, you know, often this view that we have of Fulani herdsmen. That man was taking his cattle, you know, grazing, and this man had a problem with it. And a lot of people hold that mindset that, well, in a developed world, you know, why are you openly cattle grazing? On the other hand, this man is maintaining his livelihood. So, Toma, speak to this issue that we are having. We had an expert come on the show this morning and talk about how they are now reviving certain grazing pastures. What do you make of this?
Now, what stood out for me in this video is that the herder spoke good English, you know, so he's educated. And the thing that really bothered him was not the person videoing him, but his cows. He was more interested in the cows. But let us look at the serious part. The idea is to take them around for grazing. I don't see any field there where grazing should be done. Maybe they are going to a field and so on. It is not a good sight to see. That is why this ranching thing has to be taken seriously. Yeah, open grazing, because of the insecurity, has problems right now. But running the cows through a metropolitan city like Abuja just doesn't look good.
Well, for me, I do not think that that's the... First of all, nobody should be videoed without their consent. You know, you cannot just start videoing, you know, someone's property, his cow, you know, even him himself, you know, that's not the very best. But when we also look at it again, that is not the right place, you know, to move with your cows. And that's why we need to fix insecurity in Nigeria. Because I tell you what, sometimes this thing can even cause accidents on the road. Imagine somebody moving with high speed and they not just see one and one just gets into the road. It has actually happened before. And then again, them being on the road, there's nothing they want to eat on the road. There's nothing they want to do do on the road, because you can see that that road is actually tarred. So in this situation, all I can say is that we need to fix our insecurity in Nigeria to make sure that things just work properly. We had a guest on the show this morning where we're talking about, food security. Some of these people, they're scared, for open grazing because of insecurity. Their lives will be lost. Some of them, their cows will even be killed. So when we talk about this, it goes deep into what we are facing in Nigeria. We're failing, and the farmers, they're feeling it.
Yes, so it's a major issue in the country. On one hand, we want them to be in a hinterland. On the other hand, we want them to survive as well. We don't want their cattle rustled. But all the same, it is not right that the cattle are herded or goaded along the Metropolitan Way. Abuja is the capital of Nigeria. It's not just a city. It's a symbol, it's a seat of power. It's where every other country, whenever they want to mention Nigeria without mentioning Nigeria, or they want to mention government without mentioning Nigeria's government, they just say Abuja has said so, so, and so, referring to the government. So imagine those people now coming to Abuja and saying cattle, being goaded along the metropolitan city. It's not right. Cow dungs will always be, on the road. Imagine you're well-dressed and then you get on the road and then the next thing you're marching on, cow dungs and all of that. So we just have to do something about ranching, and all has to be, sanity has to be, returned.
And it's important that we stop holding negative stereotypes about certain groups. It is very wrong and very divisive and very regressive.
That's right.
Thank you so much for your input, team. Now, moving on, a group of Nigerian travelers says they were denied entry into Mauritius despite arriving with their hotel bookings, tour reservations, and documents required for the visa on arrival access. Now, one of the travelers who's going viral, Slyfo Michael Jubril, shared videos online from Sir Siwusagur Ramgulam International Airport, Mauritius, where he and several other Nigerians were allegedly turned back by immigration authorities. According to documents shared online, officials in Mauritius rejected their visa on arrival applications on the grounds that they were considered, in quote, non-bona fide visitors. But these Nigerian travelers insist that they complied with all the entry requirements, and they're alleging now that the decision appeared to be linked to their Nigerian passports. Have a look at this.
See, I'm the only one smiling, yo. See Nigeria, see Nigeria, see Nigeria. They decline our visa after we arrive. Mauritius, everybody they pursue Nigeria for a country. I only came for vacation to relax, but this is how it goes. They reject us, so they carry us, go back. So see the government, see the country will come out from back.
Now, this incident has renewed conversations around the treatment of Nigerian travelers abroad, particularly complaints of profiling and of discriminatory scrutiny at foreign borders, despite us having valid travel documents sometimes. Now, Mauritius remains one of the destinations that offers a visa on arrival or electronic travel access to Nigerians, although immigration authorities, it's important to note, still retain the power to refuse entry even after arrival. Let's have a look at social media. JDN Extra says, more Nigerian passport don't become prove your innocent challenge at some airports. Imagine carrying your complete documents and still being treated like the chairman of an international cartel. Piper 462 says, this is deeply embarrassing and profiling at the highest level. Treating innocent tourists like ex-convicts just because of their passport is completely modern day wickedness. Now, team, I heard one of our senior producer in the background saying the money is just gone. I believe that it is. You took that risk, for the visa on arrival process. And unfortunately, the officials at the border they withhold the right to turn you around for whatever reason. In this case, these Nigerians were deemed non-bona fide visitors. Is it fair?
Yeah, even though it's not fair, I'm pushing the blame back to us here in Nigeria. We go on social media and demarket our country. We demarket our country and we demarket our country. We celebrate things that have very terrible optics and we credit it to Nigeria. I mean, why wouldn't Mauritius treat Nigerians the way these people are treated? Look, when we go on social media, we should realize that we have an international audience. Everybody in the world has access to whatever you're writing about your country, what you're saying about your country. And if you, a Nigerian, demarkets Nigeria the way you do, let's not get angry when things like this happen.
If you ask me, I feel like this young man should really tell us what happened at the airport and with the immigration, because a few months ago I was in Mauritius. I don't hold a Nigerian passport, but I flew with Nigerians, and I know that to enter Mauritius, there's a particular form that you have to fill. You have to declare some amount of money. You need to fill a health form, because even the people that had Nigerian passports that I was with, we all went through the same procedure. I remember the man was telling me, bring out all the money you have, show it one by one. You need to show it to a certain camera. So if you fail to do all of this, they will send you back. So we also need to understand what happened at that airport, because Mauritius is a beautiful place. When I was there, it was amazing. The immigration treated me very well. But then again, you need to ask him, how did you sound to the immigration? Were you able to give everything that you were required? There's also a health form that you have to fill. If you get there and you've not filled that form from Nigeria, you would not enter Mauritius. So these are things that we need to look at. And young man, please reach out to us. Let's know exactly what really happened at the airport.
Sorry, Ibrahim, let me come in there. You see, it's not just him that was affected. There were quite a number of them. Does it mean that all of them did not go through the regular things or did not show the right documents?
Yeah, but Etoma, so before you enter Mauritius, you know I was there about 2-3 months ago. There are some certain things that you need to do. If not, you would not enter the country.
Exactly.
I flew with Nigerians, and we all went. So I don't think it's a Nigerian or Ghana thing. We all went through the same procedure. You know, so if you now want to act difficult, or maybe you didn't fill the health form from here, you didn't feel where you're going to stay from here, you were not able to declare some certain amount of money, they would not allow you into Mauritius.
Absolutely. Talking about declaration of certain amount of money that you have, I think every country, you know, does that when it comes to you carrying certain cash. And you need to know that Mauritius is now becoming an elitist, you know, place where the elites, you know, gather, and the immigration has decided to, you know, raise the bar, you know, especially for Nigerian nationals and some other nationals, you know, within the African region. So whatever the case may be, I completely agree with Etoma when he said that the way you call what you call yourself is what the world sees you as. So if you're saying Nigeria is a bad country, Nigeria this, Nigeria that, you are not talking to Nigerians. You're talking to international audience who see you for, you know, whatever it is that you call yourself. So we need to change. Even when we think we are not good within, get on the social media and say, God bless my country, Nigeria, and Nigeria is the best of all countries. People will take you as that.
Interesting. Very spirited contributions, team. Thank you, as always. Moving on, nearly 300 Ghanaians repatriated from South Africa arrived in Accra yesterday after Ghana's government organized an emergency flight following renewed fears of xenophobic violence in South Africa. Now, this chartered flight departed Johannesburg amidst anti-immigration protests in parts of South Africa, where demonstrators have accused undocumented migrants of putting pressure on jobs and their public services. Well, Ghanaian authorities say that about 800 citizens have so far registered for repatriation from South Africa, with more flights expected in the coming days. Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa was among officials who received the first batch of arrivals at the airport in Accra. As you can see, there's children, there's varied individuals being welcomed home, you know, Akwaba. The protests in South Africa have been linked to a group known as March and March, which has now called for undocumented migrants to leave their country by the 30th of June. And for many Africans, the situation has revived painful memories of previous xenophobic attacks in South Africa that targeted foreign nationals, including Nigerians, Ghanaians, and other African migrants living in South Africa. Honestly, no place like home. Commendable what the Ghanaian government did in protecting its citizens. Let's have a look at social media. Man's Not Barry Rue says, an emotional reminder that home will always mean something deeper than just a place. Sometimes the journey, the sacrifices, and the struggles people face abroad make that first step back on home soil overwhelming. Seeing her break down at the airport shows how powerful belonging, family, and national pride can be. Voice of Nungua says, xenophobia and hostility towards Africans damage the respect of South Africans across Africa. No African country is free of illegal aliens. When people work in your country, they contribute to nation building, not destruction. Thank you, Han. And finally, Aramotswako says, you are doing your job. Your job is to serve your citizens. Them leaving for South Africa was due to your hate for them, not giving them service. We're doing this for them. One day they will thank South Africans for forcing their government to work for them. Finally. Now, team, we already discussed this, so I would be grateful if you could be mindful of our time. You know, some people, you know, broke down. There's a video of a woman who broke down the moment her foot touched home soil. When you see such emotional outbursts is what the person experienced in South Africa. Maybe her family was almost attacked and so on, and she narrowly escaped. Finally, I am home where I am a first-class citizen. That's what it meant. And I want to thank the Ghanaian government for doing the evacuation. I hope Nigerian government will do that too for Nigerian citizens there.
If you ask me, this is actually a very, very fantastic one. And I must say, Okujetua Blackwai is one of the most active foreign affairs minister we've ever had in Ghana. So, you know, well done, you know, to him. You know, I saw how he put this at the forefront, and look at them, they are back home. Also, our president, my president, John Dramani Mahama as well. You know, it's good to see that in Ghana, we don't joke. You know, you don't want our people, we bring our people home, because there's pride in home. You know, our people are always welcome back in the soil of Ghana. So I'm hoping that also Nigeria will take cue from this.
I think, and I'm not sorry to say that the South African Authority, from the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, they've actually failed the Pan-African leaders. You know, talk about Julius Nyerere, talk about Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, talk about Nnamdi Azikiwe, Nigeria, talk about Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, talk about all the Pan-African leaders who fought for African independence. President Cyril Ramaphosa, you have failed the Pan-African, you have failed Pan-Africanism, and you should cover your face, really, and the authorities, because why should we be happy that people are leaving one African country to another country because they are not welcome? No, this is so sad. Absolutely. But then it's catch-22 for us. We just have to wake up.
Now, Tim, it's important for me to add very quickly that, you know, one of the leaders of Operation Dudula, who was given this June 30th deadline, is now being dragged to court. I'm not sure if it's by the government or by civil society organizations, but she's being dragged to court for xenophobic and dangerous rhetoric that she's spreading. Thank you so much for your input, Tim.
You're welcome.
Moving on into the world of entertainment, although I don't find this story very entertaining. Nigerian singer Burna Boy is facing criticism after a video showed one of his security escorts using his leg to brush aside a physically challenged man as the artist exited a Lagos nightclub. Now, in this clip that's circulating on social media, the man appeared to approach Burna Boy, seemingly to beg for alms, before a foreign bouncer accompanying the singer used his leg to push him aside. If you watch closely there, you'll see the exact moment that it happens. As you can see there, he's pushing this man aside, you know, with his leg, while clearing a path through the crowd. Well, this moment has since generated strong reactions online. Many Nigerians are now criticizing the treatment of this man, arguing that persons living with disabilities deserve more dignity and respect, regardless of their circumstances. And I must say, I agree. There was a way to evacuate, you know, that space around the singer, you know, if you wanted to do it in a more respectful manner to that man's life and plight. Let's have a look at social media. Emmy says the security was only doing his job. Lagos is a very rough place. Anything can happen. He only tried to confirm if the guy is really physically challenged, and to be sure he's not hiding any weapons. Pappy Bright said the bouncer who did that can't even try that in his home country, but see what he's doing in Nigeria. I thought it was important to take this video, this story, because it's a chance for us to talk about, you know, the dignity and the respect of persons with disabilities. Oftentimes, behavior that might not be harmful to us harms them, harms their psyche, harms their quality of living, harms how they perceive themselves, Etoma. What do you think about that? I'm sure we'll play that video in a second again, so our audience can also judge as you speak.
Yes, if that bouncer had done that in the United States or even in England, it's not even the person he did it to that will sue him. Another organization would sue him. But that's not the case here in Nigeria, and he's going scot-free, even though we have him on camera. It's sad.
It's very sad. I saw the video yesterday. I'm like, how can somebody do this to someone that, you know, that is just on the floor, even trying to beg? If you don't want to give him money, just send him away. Why do you have to use your legs on a disabled person? I'm really hoping that Burna Boy's team will say something about it. I also need Burna Boy to say something about it as well, because he was there. Although he didn't really see what happened, but now it's been brought to social media. Everybody knows what happened. And it's actually a very sad one. I believe that that man should be compensated.
Well, plain security can be something very significant, but all the same, we just have to be kind to anyone that we come across, whether the person is is in penury or is rich or not, we have to be kind to everyone because humanity should be first.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your input, team.